Book 6, The Man Who Did Nothing, A Manual of Invisible Existence. Introduction. The problem of the return. The prince had woken up. He had smashed the sky. But now he had a new problem. He had to go back to the village. He had to buy groceries. He had to talk to his mother. How does the infinite fit into a kitchen? How does the silence buy a train ticket? This is the story of how the prince learned the art of transparency. How to be so empty that the world passes right through you without leaving a scratch. Chapter 1. The UN naming of things. Anybody walked into the forest. He looked at a tall green thing with leaves. Tree, his mind said. Immediately the thing felt heavy. It felt wooden. It felt dead. He looked at the blue expanse above. Sky, his mind said. Immediately it felt distant. It felt like a ceiling. I am trapping the world in words, anybody realized. I am turning the mystery into furniture. He met an old woman spinning thread from moonlight. She had no eyes, only ears. Help me, said anybody. My words are killing the world. Then stop naming them, said the woman. How? You must practice the unnaming. She pointed to a rock. What is that? A rock, said anybody. Wrong, she snapped. That is a sound you make with your throat. Look at the thing. Anybody looked. He stared at the grey, rough surface. He refused to let the word rock enter his mind. He stared until his eyes watered. Without the label, the object started to shimmer. It wasn't grey anymore. It was a vibrating chaos of light and shadow. It wasn't hard. It was a dense field of energy. It stopped being a rock. It became a presence. Good, whispered the woman. Now do it to yourself. Anybody looked at his hand. Hand, he thought. No, he pushed the word away. He looked at the sensation, the heat, the pulse. The tingle. It wasn't a hand. It was a cloud of sensation floating in space. He looked at his face in a stream. Face. No, he saw a pattern of light. He saw a mask of energy. He realized that anybody was just a word, and if he didn't say it, he was nobody. He walked through the forest. He didn't see trees or birds. He saw an explosion of raw, nameless reality crashing into his senses. He was drunk on the isness of things. Chapter 2. The Feast of Shadows. Nobody walked into the village of night. The people there were terrified. They were running from ghosts. They were running from their own bad memories. Hide us, they screamed. The bad feelings are coming. Nobody stood in the center of the square. A dark cloud of fear rolled in. It smelled of cold sweat and old nightmares. Run, shouted the villagers. Nobody didn't run. He realized that fear is just energy. It is just a vibration. I am hungry, said nobody. He opened his mouth. He didn't try to fight the fear. He inhaled it. He sucked the black cloud into his lungs. The villagers gasped. It will kill you. The fear hit his chest. It was cold. It shook him. But nobody didn't contract. He expanded. He made his chest bigger than the fear. He digested it. Inside his belly, the cold fear turned into hot adrenaline. It turned into focus. The bad feeling was just fuel in a scary wrapper. He burped darkness. More, he said. He ate the grief of a widow. It tasted like salt water. It turned into compassion. He ate the anger of a soldier. It tasted like chili peppers. It turned into clarity. He realized that the yogi is not a saint who avoids sin. The yogi is a garbage eater who turns poison into light. Chapter 3. The Ritual of Hot Bean Water. Nobody woke up in a bed. He was somebody again. He had a name. He had a job. He walked into the kitchen. He looked at the coffee machine. This is boring, whispered his mind. I want to be on the mountain. I want to be eating shadows. No, said the voice of the prince. The mountain is easy. The kitchen is the test. He watched the dark liquid drip into the cup. He didn't just watch it. He worshipped it. He realized that the coffee was the blood of the earth. The heat was the sun, captured in the bean, released by the water. He lifted the cup. It wasn't a caffeine fix. It was a sacrament. He took a sip. The bitter taste hit his tongue. Bang. The sensation was absolute. It was the only thing happening in the entire universe. There was no anybody drinking coffee. There was just drinking. He realized that boredom is just a failure of attention. If you pay enough attention, washing a spoon is as intense as a lightning strike. If you pay enough attention, the hum of the refrigerator is the om of creation. He washed the cup. He felt the water on his hands. He felt the soap. I am not doing chores, he whispered. I am fondling the body of God. Chapter 4. The Shield of Yes. Nobody walked into the marketplace. A merchant screamed at him. "Get out of my way, you fool!" The sound was a sharp knife. Nobody's instinct was to put up a shield, to say no, to get angry, to get tight. "Don't block," whispered the prince. "Let it through." Nobody dropped his shield. He relaxed his belly. The merchant's anger hit him. It entered his chest. But because there was no wall of resistance, the anger didn't stick. It passed right through him like wind through a screen door. The merchant stared. He expected a fight. He expected a reaction, but nobody just stood there transparent. The merchant's anger had nowhere to land. It circled back and hit the merchant. The merchant collapsed, confused. "Why didn't you fight back?" "I am not here," smiled Nobody. "You were shouting at an empty room." Nobody realized the ultimate defense. If you are solid, you can be hit. If you are empty, the arrow passes through. The shield of yes means saying yes to the attack, letting it enter and letting it leave, leaving no trace. Chapter 5, The Library of Moving Ink. Nobody met a woman. She was beautiful. She was fascinating. He wanted to possess her. He wanted to say, "You are mine." "Stop," said the prince. "Look closer." Nobody looked at the woman. He didn't see a person. He saw a book. Saw pages of history written on her face. He saw chapters of trauma in her shoulders. He saw paragraphs of hope in her eyes. "She is not a person," said the prince. "She is a story, and you are a story. When you talk to her, it is just one book reading another book." Nobody realized that all relationships are fictions. "I love you," he said to her, but he didn't mean, "I want to own you." He meant, "I love the character you are playing. I love the plot twist of your smile. But I know you are the paper, not the ink." He held her hand. He felt the warmth. He realized that two is just a game one plays to feel the pleasure of touch. He wasn't holding her hand. God was holding God's hand, marveling at the sensation of being separate for a split second. He looked at the reader. "I am gone now," said Nobody. "I have become the background noise of your life. When you hear the wind, that is me. When you taste the coffee, that is me. When you forget who you are, that is me. Don't try to find me, just be."